U.S. Route 40 is an east-west United States highway. As with most routes whose numbers end in a zero, U.S. 40 once traversed the entire United States. It is one of the original 1926 U.S. highways, and its first termini were San Francisco, California, and Atlantic City, New Jersey. In the western United States, U.S. 40 was functionally replaced by Interstate.It, resulting in the route being truncated multiple times. U.S. 40 currently ends at a junction with I-80 in Silver Summit, Utah, just outside Park City. Starting at its western terminus in Utah, U.S. 40 crosses a total of 12 states, including Colorado, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware, and New Jersey. 3 former and 4 current state capitals lie along the route. For much of its route, U.S. 40 runs parallel to or concurrently with several major interstate highways. Interstate 70 from Colorado to Washington, Pennsylvania, and again from Hancock, Maryland to Baltimore, Maryland. Interstate 64 in parts of Missouri and Illinois, Interstate 68 along the Maryland Panhandle, and Interstate 95 from Baltimore to Newcastle, Delaware. The route was built on top of several older highways, most notably the National Road and the Victory Highway. The National Road was created in 1806 by an act of Congress to serve as the first federally funded highway construction project. When completed, it connected Cumberland, Maryland with Vandalia, Illinois. The Victory Highway was designated as a memorial to World War I veterans and ran from Kansas City, Missouri to San Francisco, California. Other important roads that have become part of U.S. 40 include Zane's Trace in Ohio, Braddock Road in Maryland and Pennsylvania, part of the Oregon Trail in Kansas, and the Lincoln Highway throughout most of California. Route description: Utah. The western terminus of U.S. 40 is in Silver Summit, Utah, at an interchange with Interstate 80, several miles north of Park City. At Silver Creek Junction, the road is concurrent with U.S. 189 until it has reached Heber City. U.S. 40 is a limited-access highway from the I-80 junction to its intersection with Utah State Route 32, about 13 miles south of Park City. For that, the road takes a generally southerly course to Heber City. In Heber City, there is an intersection with State Route 113. 1 mile later, U.S. 189 splits off. There would be no more major intersections until U.S. 40 has reached Fruitland, as it meets State Route 208. About 18 miles later, the road enters Duchesne. In Duchesne, it meets U.S. 191 and State Route 87. U.S. 40 passes Duchesne and starts a concurrency. The concurrency goes into Roosevelt, Fort Duchesne and Vernal. In Roosevelt, it meets State Route 87 again in a 5-point intersection. There are 2 intersections with State Route 121, in Roosevelt and Vernal. In Fort Duchesne, there is an intersection with State Route 88. After U.S. 40 passes Vernal, U.S. 191 splits off and the concurrency ends. After that, there are no more major intersections until U.S. 40 reaches Naples, as it meets State Route 45. About 9 miles later, U.S. 40 enters Jensen. In Jensen, there is an intersection with State Route 149. About 18 miles later, the road enters Colorado. U.S. 40 enters Colorado, 2 miles west of Dinosaur. In Dinosaur, there is an intersection with Colorado State Highway 64. After passing Dinosaur, there are no more major intersections until U.S. 40 reaches Mabel, as it meets with Colorado State Highway 318. 30 miles later, the road enters Craig. In Craig, US 40 starts a very short concurrency with Colorado State Highway 13. After Craig, SH13 splits off. The road then passes through Hayden without major intersections. Then it exits Hayden and enters Steamboat Springs. There is an intersection with Colorado State Highway 131 and 14. US 40 then continues southeast into Kremling. In Kremling, there is an intersection with Colorado State Highway 134 and 9. It then exits Kremling and enters Granby. There is an intersection with US Route 34. The road then passes Fraser and Winter Park without major intersections. About 26 miles later, US 40 starts a concurrency with Interstate 70. About 15 miles later, I-70 splits off. 4 miles later, it is concurrent again. 3 miles later, I-70 splits off again. After the second concurrency with I-70, US 40 enters Denver. The road goes into Denver downtown and has intersections with Colorado State Highway 391, 121, 95, and 2 and an interchange with U.S.Route 287. East of Denver, US 40 passes through Aurora and becomes concurrent with I-70 once again. 70 miles later, it enters Limon. In Limon, I-70 splits off. However, the road is still concurrent with US 287. There is an intersection with Colorado State Highway 71. US 40 then passes Hugo without major intersections. In Wildhorse, it meets Colorado State Highway 94. About 20 miles later, the road enters Kit Carson. There is an intersection with Colorado State Highway 59. After Kit Carson, US 287 splits off and the concurrency ends. After that, there are no more major intersections until US 40 reaches Cheyenne Wells, as it meets U.S.Route 385 in an interchange. The road then passes Arapahoe without major intersections. 7 miles later, US 40 enters Kansas. US 40 enters Kansas near the unincorporated community of Wescon. The first sizable town it enters is Sharon Springs, where it intersects K-27. For there it goes northeast to Oakley and follows Eagle Eye Road before merging with I-70 east of town. The two routes remain merged until Topeka, although the prior alignment of US 40, named Old Highway 40, parallels I-70 for most of the way. From Ellsworth to Salina, the old alignment of US 40 is signed as K-140. In Topeka, US 40 leaves I-70 at exit 366, follows the Oakland Expressway concurrent with K4 north to 6th Avenue, then heads east along 6th Avenue out of town. Through Topeka, US 40 closely follows the route of the Oregon Trail. At the Shawnee-Douglas County line near Big Springs, US 40 crosses to the south of I-70 and enters Lawrence from the west along West 6th Street. In Lawrence, the route is joined by US 59 and jogs north to cross the Kansas River. It follows North 2nd and North 3rd Streets, crosses back under I-70, leaves US 59, and merges with US 24 before leaving town. US 40 remains merged with US 24 as the two routes travel northeast to the town of Tonganoxie. Further, the merged routes turn due east toward Kansas City, Kansas. In Kansas City, US 40 and US 24 intersect US 73 and K7, and turning south toward Interstate 70. US 40, along with US 24, then merge onto I-70 and recross the Kansas River over the Lewis and Clark Viaduct just before entering Kansas City, Missouri. On December 1, 2008, US 40, along with US 24 and US 73, was rerouted south along K7 west of Kansas City to the intersection with I-70. Before this date, US 40 and US 24 continued along State Avenue to College Parkway before turning right to follow Turner Diagonal for 1/2 mile where US 40 joined Interstate 70 for the duration of its journey eastward toward Missouri. In 1951, the state of Kansas designated Route 40 as a Blue Star Memorial Highway from border to border. Missouri US 40 enters Missouri in Kansas City along a concurrency with I-70. It leaves I-70 at exit 6 and follows Van Brunt Boulevard for a short distance before turning east and crossing I-70 again at exit 7A. US 40 parallels I-70 to the north through Kansas City until exit 11, where it crosses and parallels it to the south through the suburbs of Lee's Summit, Independence, Blue Springs, and Grain Valley before it rejoins I-70 at exit 24. An older alignment carries the designation Old US 40. US 40 stays with I-70 until it reaches Boonville, where it leaves at exit 101, along with Business Loop 70. Both designations follow Ashley Road, before US 40 leaves and heads north along Main Street. After crossing the Missouri River in Boonville, US 40 turns east before rejoining I-70 again at exit 121 on the outskirts of Columbia. The two routes remain concurrent until exit 210A in Wentzville. From Wentzville, US 40 now joins a concurrency with I-64 and US 61 and heads southeast, crossing the Missouri River again over the Daniel Boone Bridge in St. Charles. US 40 stays joined with I-64 and leaves the state in St. Louis on the Poplar Street Bridge across the Mississippi River, along with I-64 and I-55. Until 1926, US 40 in Missouri was Route 2. On January 2, 2008, 5 miles of the route in St. Louis was closed both eastbound and westbound from I-170 to I-270. It reopened December 15, 2008, 2 weeks ahead of the originally scheduled date of December 31, 2008. On December 13, 2008, another 5-mile section of the freeway closed both ways from I-170 to the Kings Highway exit in the city. It was reopened on December 7, 2009. The entire freeway is now open for travel, with the speed limit raised to 60 miles per hour on most of the stretch. It is also now a full freeway all the way from downtown St. Louis to Wentzville, Illinois. The next 159.99 miles of US 40 lie within the state of Illinois. Except where the route has been realigned with Interstate 70, it is an entirely undivided surface route. Formerly a major highway, it has lost most of its non-local traffic to Interstate 70. Some early bypasses of towns were built with the apparent intention of twinning them as a divided highway with access limited to intersections. I-70 uses none of those old bypasses that remain as sections of US 40. The westernmost portion of the historic National Road lies on most of the US 40 alignment in Illinois. US 40 crosses into Illinois at East Street, Louis on the Poplar Street Bridge concurrent with I-55, I-64. The route has a close relationship with I-70 for the remainder of the time it spends in the state, being directly concurrent with the paralleling it throughout Illinois. Between Pocahontas and Mulberry Grove, US 40 passes through several small towns. In Vandalia, Illinois, the former state capital, it follows Veterans Avenue and Kennedy Boulevard through town. The old State House in Vandalia marks the western terminus of the National Road, one of the earliest roads upon which US 40 was designated. From Vandalia, the road continues to the northeast passing through the early German settlement town of Teutopolis and several city streets in Effingham. Beyond Effingham, US 40 passes through many small unincorporated towns before leaving the state near Marshall, Indiana. US 40 enters Indiana from the west at unincorporated Liggett along with I-70. US 40 leaves the interstate at exit 11 and heads north through U.S.Route with State Route 46. The road leaves the city to the northeast upon reaching Wabash Avenue. Upon leaving U.S.Route, US 40 passes through the small towns of Sealyville, Brazil, Knightsville and Harmony. Between Sealyville and Brazil, the road bypasses several small unincorporated communities which are served by State Road 340, a former alignment of US 40. The road continues to the northeast beyond Harmony, passing many unincorporated places such as Mount Meridian along the way to Plainfield, a suburb of Indianapolis. In Plainfield, US 40 is Main Street and passes the Metropolis Outdoor Shopping Mall and a nostalgic stainless steel diner. Upon leaving Plainfield, US 40 becomes Washington Street, where it passes by the northern edge of Indianapolis International Airport. After passing the airport, US 40 is now routed onto Interstate 465 southbound on the west side of Indianapolis. A sign along the entrance ramp advises motorists for US 40 east, follow I-465 south to exit 46. This route bypasses downtown Indianapolis and instead goes through the southern part of Indianapolis. Its nearest point is about 5 miles south of the city center. Along the eastern edge of Indianapolis, US 40 leaves I-465 at exit 46 and is once again routed onto Washington Street. East of Indianapolis, US 40 enters Cumberland where it takes the name National Road, paralleling I-70 at a distance of about 3.5 miles. US 40 continues eastward across Indiana, passing through such communities as Greenfield, Knightstown, Louisville, Strawn, Dublin, Mount Auburn, and Cambridge City, where it is known by various local names including Washington Street, Main Street, and National Road. Note, just east of Knightstown, cross the Big Blue River on the right is part of the old National Road. This section is about 4.3 miles long and rejoins US 40 in Dunreath. US 40's last stop in Indiana is the city of Richmond. In Richmond, it passes a statue known as Madonna of the Trail, one of a series of 12 statues across the U.S. that memorialize women pioneers who made the trek to settle the western U.S. In 1968, a section of US 40 in Richmond was destroyed by a massive gas explosion. This caused a section of Main Street to be closed to automobile traffic, and US 40 was rerouted along North A Street and South A Street. Near the Indiana-Ohio border, US 40 crosses I-70 at exit 156B before entering Ohio. US 40 enters Ohio just to the south of New Paris. The road is always close to the newer I-70 eastward toward Dayton. In Vandalia, the road passes to the south of Dayton International Airport and crosses the Dixie Highway and I-75 and the Great Miami River. The road never actually enters Dayton, instead skirting the northern suburbs on the way toward Springfield. The portion of US 40 between Medway Carlisle Road and Lambs Lane in Bethel Township, Clark County, is designated Staff Sergeant Wesley Williams Memorial Highway in honor of a 2005 Tecumseh High School graduate who died on December 10, 2012, while serving in the U.S. Army, from injuries suffered when enemy forces attacked his unit with an improvised explosive device in Kandahar Province, Afghanistan. The designated portion of road runs by the high school. In Springfield, US 40 is split between two one-way streets. North Street carries US 40 west and Columbia Street carries US 40 east. The route then shifts onto East Main Street before leaving town to the east once again as National Road. I-70 crosses again at unincorporated Harmony. US 40 passes just north of London where it intersects Ohio State Route 56 and US 42 before heading into West Jefferson. In West Jefferson, US 40 is routed on Main Street. In the Columbus metropolitan area, US 40 enters from the west as Broad Street. Among the sites along US 40 in Columbus are the Ohio State House, the Columbus Museum of Art, and Levesque Tower, the oldest skyscraper in Columbus. In Bexley, the route follows Main Street, using Drexel Avenue to get between Broad and Main. US 40 continues as Main Street through Reynoldsburg before leaving the Columbus area as National Road yet again. East of the Columbus metro area, US 40 parallels I-70 at a distance of about 1 mile, passing through several small towns, including Kirkasville and Hebron. In Zanesville, the road becomes Main Street, and at the center of town US 40 begins a concurrency with US 22 that carries it to Cambridge. US 40 crosses the Muskingum River in Zanesville on the famous Y Bridge. Routes 22 and 40 enter Cambridge from the southwest along John Glenn Highway and split in town. US 40 follows Wheeling Avenue. In Old Washington, US 40 joins I-70 at exit 186. It leaves I-70 at exit 201 near Morristown. The two roads cross paths several times before they both leave Ohio on a pair of bridges across the Ohio River at Bridgeport. The now decommissioned Ohio State Route 440 ran along old US 40 in places where US 40 had been shifted onto I-70. West Virginia US 40 is only 10 miles long as it passes through West Virginia. Much of the highway has been moved from the old National Road path to I-70. Pennsylvania US 40 enters Pennsylvania at West Alexander. It closely parallels I-70 from West Virginia until it reaches Washington, where it follows Chestnut Street, Jefferson Avenue and Maiden Street. In Washington, US 40 passes to the south of Washington and Amp Jefferson College. Following Maiden Street out of town, the road turns southeast toward the town of California, a short limited-access highway in California, and West Brownsville provides an approach to the Lane Bain Bridge across the Monongahela River. From here, the road continues southeast to Uniontown. US 40 bypasses Uniontown along a limited-access highway that also carries US 119. An old alignment through Uniontown is signed as Business US 40. Southeast of Uniontown, travelers pass the Fort Necessity National Battlefield. It follows Braddock Road southeast of Uniontown, crossing the Yaffeogany River Lake on a bridge completed in 2006. US 40 leaves Pennsylvania at Addison, Maryland. US 40 enters Maryland from Pennsylvania near Grantsville in the western part of the state. Here, and through most of the state, it is known as National Pike. US 40 leaves National Pike shortly after entering Maryland from the northwest and merges with I-68 and US 219 at exit 14B. The old alignment of US 40, still known as National Pike, is signed through much of the western part of the state as either Scenic US 40 or Alternate US 40. US 219 leaves the three-way concurrency at exit 22, but US 40 and I-68 remain on the same pavement through Frostburg and Cumberland. East of Cumberland, the old National Pike carries the MD 144 designation. The I-68 US 40 roadway passes through a 340-foot deep cut in Sideling Hill. Just to the east of the cut is the Sideling Hill Exhibit Center, a museum that highlights Western Maryland geology. At Hancock, where the state of Maryland narrows to less than 2 miles wide, I-68 ends, and US 40 merges onto I-70 at exit 1. The two routes closely follow the course of the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal and the Potomac River for several miles before US 40 leaves the interstate at exit 9. US 40 passes directly through the center of Hagerstown using Washington Avenue and Franklin Street, heading southeast out of Hagerstown. US 40 diverges into two separate routes, US 40 and US 40-Alt. US 40 parallels I-70, its longtime travel partner, crossing it at exit 32 near Greenbrier State Park on the Baltimore National Pike alignment. US 40-Alt heads southeast on the old National Pike alignment through Boonesboro, crossing South Mountain at Turner's Gap. The two routes converge just west of Frederick. In Frederick, US 40 uses Patrick Street before merging onto the US 15 expressway for a short distance. It leaves US 15 and rejoins I-70 on the outskirts of Frederick. MD 144 once again takes over the old alignment of US 40. US 40 leaves I-70 for the final time upon entering the western suburbs of Baltimore, once again as Baltimore National Pike. The route passes through Patapsco Valley State Park north of Ellicott City and enters the Baltimore city limits along Edmondson Avenue. East of Gwynns Falls Leakin Park, US 40 becomes Franklin Street, and becomes an expressway for a short distance between Pulaski Street and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Through this area, an alignment called Track US 40 diverts larger vehicles onto an alternate route. US 40 passes through the Mount Vernon neighborhood and a few blocks from Baltimore's Washington Monument. After crossing the Jones Falls Expressway, US 40 follows Orleans Street, and finally becomes the Pulaski Highway as it leaves Baltimore to the northeast. US 40, for the entire length of Pulaski Highway, closely parallels I-95. Pulaski Highway passes through Gunpowder Falls State Park near Joppa and the Aberdeen Proving Ground. Between Havre de Grace and Perryville it crosses the Susquehanna River on the Thomas J. Hayton Memorial Bridge. US 40 leaves Maryland in Elkton, crossing the border into Delaware. US 40 crosses Delaware for about 15 miles. Entering the state from Maryland in Glasgow, it continues along the Pulaski Highway. Much roadside commercial development slows traffic, as there are many traffic lights along the route. US 40 crosses Delaware Route 1 in the community of Bear before merging with US 13 and the DuPont Highway in Midvale. The concurrent routes turn north past the Newcastle Airport and US 40 splits to join I-295 near Wilmington Manor. US 40, along with I-295, uses the Delaware Memorial Bridge to cross the Delaware River into New Jersey. US 40 enters New Jersey in Deepwater, New Jersey along with I-295. US 40 briefly joins the New Jersey Turnpike, and exits to the south of the toll booths. The route follows Wiley Road, parallel to the turnpike, before joining Harding Highway in Carneys Point. US 40 is known as the Harding Highway through most of South Jersey. Northeast of it convergence with US 40. Harding Highway carries the NJ48 designation, although this was once part of US 40 as well. US 40 enters the borough of Woodstown as a concurrency with NJ45 along West Avenue. It leaves town heading southeast. In Upper Pittsgrove Township, the road changes names to the Pearl Tavern Elmer Road. Passing through Elmer it becomes Chestnut Street, and then the Elmer-Malaga Road. In Malaga, it uses Del C Drive. The route bypasses the city of Vineland to the northeast, and becomes Cape May Avenue in Hamilton Township, where it crosses NJ 50 in Mays Landing. US 40 merges with US 322 and the Black Horse Pike in McKee City. The two routes enter Atlantic City along Albany Avenue and pass the Atlantic City Airport. US 40 and US 322 both reach their eastern terminus at the intersection of Albany Avenue and Ventnor Avenue.